Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal and happy Sunday, April 19th of 2026. Now last week I talked about updating my supplement routine, which it's been 5 years. When I turned 60, I updated it, and in about a little bit less than a month I turned 65, so I'm going to update my routine. And I asked if any of you had some questions about my supplement routine, about the things that you're taking, just kind of in general. What are some of your thoughts on what I talked about in the email and the video from last week? And the main gist of it was aging powerfully, because I think it's great to take care of ourselves and have ourselves look. We all want to look good. We want to present our best face forward. But for me, I think what it really boils down to is, how do I feel? And so this was, I actually got, my inbox got completely overwhelmed in a really beautiful way. So what I did is I printed off a bunch of questions and emails from people, and I thought it'd be a really, really fun video today, because to me, this is a way to spread love when you spread knowledge. And at this point in my life, where I sit with decades of experience on so many things, in fact, one of the things that I'm so grateful for is about 25 years I had in the fitness industry before I restarted my dad's company. And I continued teaching fitness classes until COVID hit, and the gym I was teaching at went out of business. So for about 6 years, I have not taught classes, but I actually made it a little past 40 years of teaching classes. So this is a really important piece of the staying healthy puzzle. I don't think it's something that you can just take and cover up, poor lifestyle habits by taking a lot of supplements. They all have to go together. They work so well together. And staying physically active, at whatever that looks like for you, is such an important piece of the puzzle. So what I did is I printed off a bunch of emails that I got from people in response to the email and the video that I put out last week. So before I start answering these emails, I want to just put a disclaimer here. The information I share with you is not meant to be medical advice. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. As always, especially when it comes to your health, do your own due diligence, check in with your doctor, your functional medicine doctor, the people, the professionals that you turn to, especially if you have serious health conditions or you're on medications. This is something that, there is nuances, and we're all a little bit different. So this information is that I'm sharing with you is based on how I would take care of myself if this question were presented to me, and those issues were ones I was having. Okay. So I am going to be curious as to what you think about this, because I have pages and pages of emails that I printed off, and we'll see how many I can get through, because I could probably, this could probably last about an hour, but I'm going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes. So I'm just going to start at the top. I often don't sleep the entire night through. I am okay with that, and I am no longer anxious about that, and look at it as an opportunity to lean into the quiet I often don't experience during the day. First of all, I love that mindset. That is really beautiful. Then she says this: that being said, I would be curious what herbs and supplements would support a continued night's sleep. So as I go through these, I'm also not going to say the name of the person, so I can just protect the privacy of the people who wrote these emails to me. So that is such a great question, and it's one that I get all the time. My very favorite thing for sleep is a tincture that my dad made. He made it probably 50 years ago. It's called R-Tran. It stands for relaxant and tranquility. And it's got valerian root and blue vervain. And together, those two herbs, especially in tincture form, they calm the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And this is a tincture I've used many times over the years. I personally don't have any problem sleeping just on a regular basis, but at times of stress, at times of overthink, and I've had plenty of stress in my life. I remember when my mom passed away, which it's been 12 years. that was very, very, very stressful. Which anytime a parent or a close loved one passes on, um, even if they're ready to go and maybe they're either super old or they've had a lot of health problems and it's a blessing, it can still be very, very stressful. And if you think about just the state of the world, where we're so tapped into all the technology and everything, sometimes we need to take a step back from those things, and give ourselves some quiet time before we go to bed. But then again, sometimes that still doesn't work. So my very, very favorite um, herbal supplement for sleep and insomnia and just shutting down a monkey brain is our really beautiful Artran. Now, the nice thing about a tincture, especially in an alcohol base, is that it can cross the blood-brain barrier, which is really nice because it goes right to the bloodstream. It acts really, really fast. And what I've personally found is if you're taking this for the first time, you take the standard dose we suggest. And I would even say after the very first time you try it, if it doesn't do the job, you can very safely double the dose and even triple the dose. Accommodate for a little bit higher body weight if you are a little bit above average, or lower the dose if you're a little bit lower than average as well. And some of that is just simple common sense, right? Now, what I would also suggest is possibly take a look at doing some adaptogens during the day. Now, adaptogens are herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil. These are really beautiful, beautiful plants that help to bring our body into balance. So, and a lot of those affect our hormones in a really positive way. So we have a few things that have adaptogens in them. Our Brain Glow, it has some beautiful adaptogens, and then we actually have a product called Mood and Energy Blend, and this actually helps to balance your hormones, especially during times of stress. And I know that, and I've shared this before, but my almost 15-year-old granddaughter loves this blend, and sometimes she forgets to take it, but it's there, it's available, and it really does change the game. And especially as women, as we go through these hormonal fluctuations, and for someone like me who's already passed not just the perimenopause, but all the way through menopause, this is still a beautiful, beautiful blend to take if I'm feeling anxious or stressed. Okay, so think about that. Here's the next question. What are your thoughts and personal experiences between using tinctures versus capsule versions of the same product? Okay, and that's well. Let me finish reading the rest of her email. I tend to gravitate toward tinctures as being more bioavailable, effective per dose, and cost, but that could be perception. So before I read the rest of that, let me address this question. So it can depend. So sometimes tinctures are absolutely the way to go. In fact, I would say if you can get something in tincture form and you don't, for some people it's the taste, they don't like the taste. And for some people they're sensitive to the alcohol, which there's ways to dissipate the alcohol out of a tincture. You simply boil some water, put a little bit of water into the bottom of a cup, the boiling water, put your tincture dose in there, let the water come down to room temperature, and most of the alcohol will be dissipated out, and it will not disturb any of the medicinal properties of your tincture. And one of the things I do love about a tincture is that it's a little more bioavailable. It goes right to the bloodstream, it absorbs really super quick, and it acts really fast. And especially in the case of something like LDM, if you have a cold, you have the flu, you have some type of viral infection or fungal infection or whatever, it's so nice to have something that goes to work really, really fast. And then, of course, there are reasons sometimes to take capsules. Probably the number one is it just might be a little bit of a bother to take a tincture. If you have to get the water, maybe it's easier for you to travel with capsules than a tincture. And also if you don't like the taste. So if you're not going to take something in tincture form because you don't like the taste, it's better to take it in capsule form than not take it at all. Now, there are some things I believe do need to go through the digestive process. Now, take, for example, our liver love, which has very, very beautiful liver supportive nourishment protection detox properties to help support the liver and the gallbladder. And that is actually important that it is in capsule form so that it can go into the stomach and the liver can release its digestive juices, the bile that comes from the gallbladder and all that stuff can go in, and it can actually affect your body in a better way when you take it in capsule form. So there are some things that are better if you take them in capsule form because they do need to go through the digestive process. So it really depends. I think you're going to get great benefits from both. And this is one of the things that is really lovely about our line is that we don't add any fillers or any preservatives. So when you say you get something like our liver love, the 7 herbs that are in it, that's all that's in it. And it's an organic tapioca veggie cap. And you're not getting anything that is just a filler so that you get less herbs. You get something still strong, still potent, and you're getting pure herbs, which really is the way that it should be. So that could depend. Okay, so here's the rest of her email. I turned 65 last year, healthy, though apparently with a genetically inherited predisposition to osteoporosis. I've lifted weights most of my adult life. I started bioidentical hormone therapy last year and have upped my exercise, but there are so many body systems. I sleep outside year round and spend much time outdoors and absorbing sky patterns day and night. I love that. And all of the things related to mindfulness and that I've just always done that connect me to earth and sky. So many variables in their earth walk journey. I like to think I'm living most of it healthfully, but this aging journey is a new deal for sure. So, wow. Okay, so there's so many things that this beautiful person is doing right. If you're watching, that is like you sleep outside, you lift weights. Here's my take on a couple things. Genetically inherited predisposition to osteoporosis. So I believe that if we think we are predisposed to get something genetically, then we are actually bringing that into our awareness. Now, I'm not discounting anyone's journey with something genetic, okay? Because I do believe that that's a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver. But we have to remember how powerful our belief systems are. It's interesting because my dad is the second oldest of 7, and my mom is the oldest of 7. Every one of my aunts and uncles on both my mom's side and my dad's side, including my mom and my dad, every one of them, diabetes. So all 7, my mom and all of her siblings, my dad, all of his siblings. My dad had diabetes as well. He managed it. And my mom, she managed to manage it with medication. She had MS as well. But this is something that my lifestyle is dialed in, but it's not even something that I'm willing to put on my radar because I believe that while there is a tiny, tiny percentage of people who do not have control over the genes that their body expresses, I believe that the massive majority of people who maybe fall into the category of taking a test that says you're genetically predisposed to get this or this or this or this, I believe we're partly on our way to getting there if this is something we believe. So this can be a little bit triggering for people simply because it is, and for obvious reasons, you know why. So that's just my opinion about that. The bioidentical hormones, I think, can be very, very, very helpful for women as we go through this phase. And I think it's very important to find the right doctor to make sure you get the right bioidentical hormones, because there are some that are not so good. And there are some that are very, very good because they're done right. And they're done with the right, with the right amount. You need to go get a hormone panel, see just what your hormones are doing. And I think that can be very, very good for a lot of women. But I actually really love that this person sleeps outside all year. I sleep outside year round and spend much time outdoors and absorbing sky patterns. Wow, that would be amazing. This is probably a person who lives in a place where weather-wise, she's able to do that. Okay, so here's another big email, which I love this one. Okay, I love them all. As a woman of 51, entering into menopause and having realized the importance of healthy eating and movement later than ideal about 5 years ago, and after encountering autoimmune illness, Lyme disease, and Epstein-Barr, what is the best order in which to address the multitude of symptoms and challenges my body faces? The past 5 years have consisted of taking dozens of supplements, including yours and others from well-sourced vendors, some powerful, LDM, others with little noticeable effect. I radically changed my diet about 3 years ago, then backslid a little bit through the past year while dealing with life events. This part is amazing. This Sunday morning, I am beginning a 10-day water fast at True North Health Center. This is the first time for me, and I'm looking forward to amazing results. However, when I end the fast, I want to be smart about a supplement routine, focusing on one system at a time, perhaps. Of course, I will consult with the doctors here, though I would also love your insights on the order of systems: digestive, skeletal, muscular, emotional, etc., for supplements. Maybe an even better question is this: I suspect that addressing all of the things that once has left my body overwhelmed and may have negatively impacted the healing process, hence my decision to stop all of it for a period of time to let my body heal. As I go into this reset, what advice would you give as I come out the other side in a couple of weeks and return home? All I can say, and I'm so grateful, thank you for writing this email, because there's so many aha things in here that are so important for other people to hear now. I am very familiar with True North Health Center. It's something I've actually talked about in other videos over the years. It's Dr. Alan Goldhammer who runs this center, and it's something I've always wanted to go do, simply to experience a water fast where they test all your systems. You're literally disconnected. You're not, because I've done long fasts before, but I've always worked through them. I've checked my emails. I've never truly fully disconnected from my life and had everything, my blood tested and my urine tested and all my systems tested, all my hormones and everything. I think it would be really, really fascinating to do that. And I think it would be so rejuvenating. In fact, I believe if you're watching this and you're the one who wrote me this email, and I'm going to say her name, Michelle, I will say this. You are going to have, you're in the middle of it right now as I'm recording this. And I believe you are going to have the most spectacular reset of your systems when this is done, that I am so excited for you. And you're actually motivating me to jump back in and see about doing that possibly sometime this year, maybe this summer. So this one has a lot of things, and I would actually love, Michelle, when you're done with this, with your fast, send me an email again and let me know how that went for you, and see if your questions are different from here. Okay, so the next email. I am 74 and everything hurts. This is kind of new, but supplements are there, but supplements are by the thousands, and who knows what's being absorbed and how. This is such a common concern. So let's see. But supplements are by the thousands, and who knows what's being absorbed and how. Supplements are like religion. Everyone has their own take on how it's all made and how it's all absorbed. But then you read, it doesn't. How are you to know? I've read books, articles, and do my own homework, but it's all too much these days. I would agree with that. I look quite young for my age, but have sciatica, and no doctor will address except fillet me open with surgery. Okay, I thought I was reading fillet. So I have sciatica, but no doctor will address it except fillet me open with surgery. My life has slowed down exponentially, but I just forge ahead. I work in the garden and have a greenhouse and above ground planter boxes, but it's killing me to work on them. I'm seeking out all the local farmers and try to eat healthy. The world of supplements has baffled me to a point where I hardly want to buy anything or believe anyone. I'm a retired pediatric nurse, and the world has changed so much that I have done a complete 180 about Western medicine and all the lies I was taught. No vaccine is safe, and the world is toxic to a point of no return. Autism is like a forest on fire, and we cannot get to the new moms to stop vaccinating. I love your approach, but you need to be a scientist or chemist to understand all that it takes to be healthy these days. Thanks for all you do. Okay, now I wanted to read that email because those are some very, very powerful points. And I believe that a lot of people feel that way about there's so much out there. First you hear how good things are, and then you hear how bad that same thing is. This is a very, very on purpose confusing world. All of the information that gets put out, it's to confuse us on purpose. Now, I do want to address quite briefly, if I can, because this is a topic that I am very passionate about, and that is the pain topic. Now, it was in 2014, I met Stephen Ozanich, who wrote a book called The Great Pain Deception. And I've talked about him before, and I've interviewed him 6 times on this channel in the last 10 years that I've known him. And he addresses the emotional component behind all chronic pain. And I would say, I'm going to say your name too here, Kelly, just your first name. I would say, Kelly, the very first thing I would do is pick up this book. And I know that sounds like, okay, that's too simple. How is a book going to help me with my pain? Well, I would not suggest it if I had not myself had very, very powerful results with this exact process of how the body creates physical pain to protect us from emotional pain. And sometimes it's the emotional pain of aging or finding out that we've been lied to about so many things. Maybe you're a perfectionist. Maybe you're a really, really good person. And the things that bother you and make you angry, really, really, really angry, you can't express because you're a good person. And I think that for many, many people that I have talked to over the years about this, a lot of the people who suffer from chronic pain are women because we are the caregivers, we're the nurturers, unless it's just not in our personality, we are really taught not to express when we get angry about something. And it might be just about little things. Maybe your husband leaves his dirty socks on the floor, doesn't help with the dishes, or whatever it may be. There's so many things. So what is really cool is Stephen Ozanich and I have over these years become very dear friends. And he is finally almost done recording the audio version of his book, The Great Pain Deception. And he reached out a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey Jane, I'm almost done recording my audiobook. We need to jump on and do another video." Because it's probably been about 5 years. I think the last time we did an interview was 2020 or 2021. So that is on its way. But right now, it's only available to purchase and read. It's easy to get on Amazon. And myself, what happened to me is I was suffering from chronic pain after my husband lost his job and then didn't get a job and didn't get a job and didn't get a job. And I was there was a lot of things happening. And besides, I am a perfectionist. I'm a person who throws something else on my shoulders and I can take it. I got it. And I don't complain. And inside, I get angry, but I stuff it down. And I don't do this anymore. But when I read his book for the first time, which was, like I said, almost 11 years ago, when I closed the last chapter, literally 90% of the pain I'd been suffering for about 4 years went away. And when I had a conversation with Stephen, he said, yep, not very many people experience that. It's a pretty small percentage, but that is called knowledge therapy. And this is a very, very powerful book. So what I would say, Kelly, and anyone else that this resonates with, jump on Amazon, grab Stephen's book, The Great Pain Deception. I'll put a link below this video because over the years, I've had so many people reach out and say, I have this chronic pain. I have this chronic pain. I've had back surgery. I've had this surgery and it didn't help. And there's so much beauty in this message and learning that your body is not really broken, even as we age. Now, we might get an injury, but what happens, your body will heal. And then it no longer causes you pain when it heals. But now we have a place for the pain to go. This is to me the key. So I've had people say, hey, I've had this chronic pain. What supplements should I take? And some people are ready to hear this message and some people aren't. Anyway, this is a big topic, and this also can be a teeny bit triggering for people, because it's like our pain starts to define us, even though we don't want to be in pain. It's a big thing. In fact, I would love it if this resonates with any of you, and you take me up on this, buy his book, read it, commit to read it. It's a big book. It's dense. It's got a lot of information in it. Take your time with it. And I'm so excited for it to come out on Audible, because I think he's going to be able to reach so many more people. And I'll let you know as soon as that happens. But I would love to know, if you read this book and you have some massive aha moments, which I guarantee you will, I would love to hear from you. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one, short and sweet. Hi, Jane. Isn't it about the food you eat and less about taking supplements? I am plant-based and I take iron, B12, and vitamin D. Really, is there anything else you really need if you eat healthy? Okay, that is a very, very, very good question. And it would seem like it would be that simple. I think it would be that simple if we had densely nutritious food, if it was organic, if there weren't toxins, if the air, the water, all the heavy metals that are around, all the things, think about, I think we just, at this point in human history, we just live in a place where we don't get the highest dense nutrition, and where we have a lot of toxicity coming at us. I do believe you can get very, very close. And I believe that you can even ascend into a higher mindset, a higher belief system, where you literally let Christ consciousness and the realization that you're a piece of God into your psyche and into your physical body at such a high level that everything you eat and everything, without any supplementation, I believe that we have the power to nourish that on that level. I think most of us aren't there. But I believe it's possible. I really do. So yeah, I think that's a big question for us to contemplate. Okay, so here's the next email. I am 58, and as I watch my mother deal with so many health struggles that slow her down and make life difficult, I know that is not what I want life to be for me. In the past 6 years, I've moved more to a whole food, plant-based diet, and find when I am eating more plants and at times raw, I feel so much better. I am being aware of moving my body and how I need to move in order to stay balanced and strong, so that I am not fearful of falls and strong enough to take a tumble and get back up with ease. I've discovered where my weaknesses are, and I'm taking steps to work on practical fitness. It does help that I have my younger two, 15 and 13, to keep me moving. My greatest health challenge are degeneration of cervical discs and eye health. I have floaters in one eye that are more like smudges, and keeping my self-talk from spiraling. And then some other personal things. Maybe some of these points could be addressed in your new video. Thank you for not only creating amazing herbal supplements, but being an encouragement to your sphere. Lovely. Thank you so much. And Amy, I'm going to say your first name there. You are doing all the right steps. Staying active. I think we do get very motivated when we watch our parents struggle with health issues. We watch their lifestyle. I believe that is a very, very massive driving factor for many of us. I know that's true for me. Like I mentioned about my mom, and even, my dad. My dad was a brilliant herbalist, and he still struggled with diabetes. He kept it in check, and he was never heavy. But it was really motivating. It's been very motivating for my siblings as well. So I would say, Amy, you are doing so many things right. The activity piece, changing your diet and realizing that when you eat, raw veggies, there's so many enzymes and nutrients. There's so many good things about that. Sounds like you're doing so many things right. So I would just say keep it up and keep the strength training, because I'm like you. I don't want to fall, accidentally slip and, break something. And I know there's factors that some of us can't help that, maybe when I'm 105, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Okay, so, and then here's this one I got from a dear person who pipes in quite often when I send emails. And this is from Rhonda, and she is a fellow wellness person. My input since I am 72 is this: keep moving, stay resilient, never give up unless you know it's time to go. Stay in the divine, sacred light, acquire good habits, know how to get back up because life will kick you down now and then. Try to remember life is short. Make the best of what you have, and there is life after death, so get rid of the bad karma. No more bad karma. Follow people who are truthful and have knowledge and wisdom. So thank you. Thank you for that beautiful email, Rhonda. You are a like-minded soul, and I love it when we can share these tidbits of wisdom and knowledge and deep knowing that comes to us, especially if we are aware and we are on this growth journey. And I think that's really where we are. I think if you're connecting with me here, you are on a growth journey and probably have been, if not most of your life, the last 5 years, 6 years, last decade, maybe a couple decades. It's been a really beautiful path, full of ups and downs, and I love the support that we all get in this community. It's pretty beautiful. Okay, here's another one. I turned 65 in February, and my biggest struggle is self-assessment. How can I tell what my body needs, and how long do you take a supplement? The plethora of choices and information overload has led to a lot of very expensive trial and error. I don't take any prescriptions, never have, but still struggle with experiencing and feeling vitality from what I consider healthy choices. I would like to be able to stick with exercise that achieves strengthening, flexibility, and endurance. Not expecting a personal answer, just answering your request for feedback. So, Nancy, this is for you. I love this. I love your email. It's so perfect. Okay. My life is balanced in spiritual meditative practices, intentional movement, yoga, hobbies, embroidery, knitting, reading, wax sealed letter writing, cooking, and gardening. Amazing, Nancy. I have an obsession with curiosity and beauty. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. You're awesome. Yet feel blah. Okay. This is common. I have heart love capsules and just found unopened mood and energy formula. So I'm going to start there, which is great. Love the Sunday messages. They're quite helpful. Okay. So I would say, Nancy, the more you do things that challenge you physically, the more energy you will have. And as we get older, I think this is where it can get a little more challenging. And I'm not saying you have to kill yourself and do things that are going to injure you, but we need to get ourselves out of breath. In fact, one of the biggest things that we can do is to challenge our heart rate. I would say once a day, you need to do something that gets you out of breath for 20 seconds. Then let it recover. And you could even do jumping jacks, or you could do whatever you can do that gets you out of breath. If you have a stationary bike, you could pedal it as fast. If you go to the gym, you don't have a stationary bike at home, go to the gym, get on a stationary bike and put it on a pretty high level, or just, and look at your watch or the time on the bike and get yourself out of breath. Challenge yourself. This will actually not only add energy, it will add youth, and it will totally add longevity. Because for the most part, as we get older, we stop doing the things that challenge us because maybe our body hurts a little. Maybe we just don't think we can. Maybe we don't think we should, which is ridiculous. But I can't remember the name of this guy. I want to say Dr. David Miller, but I might be wrong. And he's pretty famous for, they say he's aging backwards. And this is one of the things that he says is really, really important. And I've heard this in the past, and it's kind of like interval training, where you do something to really increase your heart rate for a really short period of time, and then you recover for a few minutes, and then you get your heart rate right back up there, and then you recover for a few minutes. In fact, I have a couple places along my 5 mile walk I do every day that have some steep hills as an option. And I always take that option. And I really make myself go up it with as brisk of a pace as I can, because when I get to the top, which only takes me about 30 seconds, which is perfect, I'm out of breath. And then I keep walking to recover. So to me, this would give you more, I think it would give you more energy and more endurance. That's my own personal opinion. So I think it would help you. Definitely the Heart Love is awesome. And I would say maybe take a look at a product I formulated about it was in 2014, so 12 years ago. It's called Endurance, and it literally is for exercise endurance and performance. It has cordyceps mushrooms, yerba mate, beetroot, and reishi, and it is specifically formulated for exercise endurance and stamina. So besides the Heart Love, I would definitely keep up on that. So, so, so good for so many things: metabolism, digestion, your heart, your vascular health, all of that. Take a look at Endurance. I think that would make a really beautiful difference for me. What I like to do is do 2 capsules before I work out, especially if I'm doing a weight workout or I'm going to go on my walk. And when I go on a walk 3 days a week, I actually do my weights first, and then I do my walk. Okay, so great question. Thank you for that, Nancy. Okay, then from Richard, all he said, 2 words: liver support. Perfect. This is so important to pay attention to, simply because we forget these organs that work so hard for us, and our liver is one of them. The liver just sits right there under your rib cage. It's this beautiful organ, and you could even do a liver transplant and get half of a liver, and your liver will completely regenerate into a full liver. I mean, it is a miraculous organ that most of us simply don't pay attention to. So Liver Love, and it's in capsule form on purpose because it needs to go through the digestive process. I talked about that just a little bit earlier in this video. So I would take a look. If you're not doing anything to support your liver, I would say if you don't drink alcohol once a year as a minimum, go through a bottle of Liver Love. Or if you like dandelion root, milk thistle, say you have a favorite supplement brand that's just dandelion. Say you like dandelion root tea. Perfect. That's one of my favorite teas. And I love it roasted dandelion root tea. Super, super delicious. It has this earthy, sweet, kind of woodsy, amazing taste. So if you have something that you love that support, and you know it supports your liver, like dandelion or milk thistle, add those into your routine, especially something like a tea in a tea form. But if, like for me, I go through a bottle of Liver Love every 6 months. I don't drink alcohol, and if you drink alcohol, I would probably do a liver cleanse, like Liver Love, every 3 months as a minimum. If that's something that you enjoy, if you enjoy drinking a glass of wine every now and again, or maybe it's something you do nightly. I mean, I have a couple of people who they enjoy a glass of wine or a cocktail every day, and Liver Love is part of their daily routine. So it depends on you, what your life is like, and you can always go have your liver enzymes checked, which is a good way to gauge what your liver's doing. Okay. Okay. So the next one, hi Jane, I enjoy your emails and the information messages that you share. This email resonated with me. I'm 58 and I don't like looking older, even though I look better than most my age. You're right. We've been around the block a few times and have more experiences under our belt. I should be proud and not try to hide, but embrace it. Thank you. I needed that. I think I just wrote this. Included this because I think this was a very nice email. You're 8 years older than me and you look great. You're someone I can look up to. So Thank you, Jean, for that lovely email. It's much appreciated. We're here helping each other. And I will tell you, I have a ring light in front of my computer, not just to add some light so my face isn't dark, but it hides some of the wrinkles in the process. So I will say, we all come on and we do the best we can and we put ourselves out there. And I think embracing the changes our body goes through as we age is it's an emotional intelligence skill. I think we become more emotionally intelligent. And I also think people need to realize that I believe we can reverse the way we are aging and the way we look by changing our lifestyle. I've seen people lose weight, start exercising, and clean up their diet, and in 6 months they look 10 years younger. I have seen this over and over and over and over again. So I would say take a gauge of where you are and how, fight the aging process with all these natural things. I've seen, people that I knew from high school. I've been someone in here said we've been out of high school almost 50 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that might be almost true. I graduated in 1979. So I guess in 3 years, that's out of high school for 50 years, which is crazy. But I've seen high school friends over the years who kind of gained some weight during their childbearing years or as their life job, whatever. And then as they've lost weight, they literally take sometimes decades off the way that they look just by changing some of these lifestyle factors. And the simple fact of losing weight the natural way with exercise, diet, sleep, take away your stress, drink plenty of water, stop drinking alcohol, all those things, that will turn back the clock so powerfully that I think it would surprise you. So thank you, Jean, for that lovely email. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple more because, oh my goodness, we're 42 minutes in. Okay, I'm going to read one more. Okay, I so appreciate your inputs every month. I am 83 and would love to know about which of your products are most beneficial for neuropathy, if any. Thank you, Jane. I think this one's actually from Jean. Okay, I think I messed up who that last one was from. So this one I believe is from Jean. And Jean, I thanked you for that. You probably would have said something similar, so thank you. So I so appreciate your inputs every month. I am 83 and would love to know which of your products are most beneficial for neuropathy, if any. And thank you, Jane. I will need to order LDM soon and will do so. Neuropathy. I am going to actually cover that in next week's video or in a video where I bring Dr. Nielsen back on because that is such a good question. I think there's so many people who would benefit. Now, besides just giving a little bit of a teaser for that, I would say that one of the things that I think is really important for people with neuropathy is to take something that improves circulation, which in my opinion, one of the best things that does that is cayenne pepper. So cayenne pepper is so good for the vascular system. It improves circulation, digestion, metabolism. And then a very important thing too is to get yourself moving. Even though it can be a little bit tough, you might need to do something like on a stationary bike or an elliptical. Elliptical is great. So you don't have to worry about, is my neuropathy going to keep me from, going on a 5-mile walk? It might. So modify, be willing to do something that is super boring. Put your, either get a book or put your screen, something in front of a bike, get on it and distract yourself by watching your favorite program. That's what I would do. But cayenne pepper is something that I believe is really, really good for that. So I'm gonna stop there because I've still got pages of emails, and I had a feeling that I might kind of go on. But first of all, or at the end of this, I want to say thank you guys so much for such a beautiful blast of emails that went into my inbox. Some of them I just barely got to today. I still have quite a few. But I think that this really shows me how connected we all are, how some of these issues are so common with so many people. that if we can address them, we can really start motivating each other to make sure we keep moving, we stay hydrated, we dial in our diet, we do what we can to disconnect from our screens, we release our stress, and I think most importantly, we realize that we are here for a finite experience. And when we literally bless the situations we're in, the food that we eat, it changes the frequency. It's such a beautiful time to be here and experience everything and be grateful, live in gratitude. And I know if you're watching this, you're probably one of those people that this is an automatic mindset for you. So I would love to know what you think, or if you have more questions. So maybe give a comment below this video, or if you're not on my email list and you get the emails, and you would like to start getting my email, jump on over to barlowherbal.com. There's a little box in the right-hand corner that says sign up for our email, and just put your name and email in there, and you'll get my email every Sunday morning that accompanies this video. And then also on Thursday, I drop some herbal wisdom video and a great little spotlight on the plants that I think would interest you, benefit you, and are fun to learn about. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. And I hope you have a brilliant third week in April, and we'll see you next time.